Hello, it's Heather. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do a little something different. I'm going to show you some ideas for a glam shabby chic Christmas. I'm going to be using black, white, silver, and gold for the colors, and I'll show you some project ideas, and then I'll show you my Christmas decor from last year. This is a compilation video, so some of the project numbers may be out of order. Our first DIY is going to be a painted silver tray. And I'm just taking one of these trays from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to be painting the bottom of it a chalkboard paint black. And I am using the chalkboard paint from Dollar Tree. I'm going to leave the sides and the edges the same because I want them to be the silver. So I'm just carefully taking my brush and going around the bottom of the inside. And you can use any kind of plate or tray, anything that will work with the chalkboard paint. And if you don't have chalkboard paint, you can always use black paint. I am going to be using a Cricut cutout for this, so I'm not really going to use chalk on it. If you really want to use chalk on it, then use the chalkboard paint, of course, but otherwise you can use black also. So I'm using some white permanent vinyl from Cricut, and I printed out this saying, and I'm just weeding it now. I'm going through getting it all to come off so that I've just got what's going to be put on my tray left. And it was fairly intricate and detailed, so it did take me a little work to get everything off. And then once I get the big pieces off, I go back in with my little Cricut tools and weed out anything inside the lettering that was too small to come up before. And before I put this on my tray, I did the 2 coats of the black chalkboard paint, and then I also did a layer of Mod Podge. Now the reason I did that is because I don't want, when I use this transfer tape, I don't want it pulling the paint off. But you've got to have that layer of Mod Podge, and it will make it harder to get your image to adhere, but it worked out okay for me. Ideally, it'd be nice if I had my stencil paper here. I would just make a stencil of the vinyl and then I would paint on the message. But I didn't have any stencil paper, so I just did it this way and very carefully put it on the Mod Podge finish. The Mod Podge is a little slippery, and so the vinyl doesn't want to stick as well to it, but it all worked out. So I'm just now using the transfer tape, getting the image up onto it so I can transfer it onto the tray. And you can see how nice and crisp that white looks on the black. I just love that look. And I got this image from creativefabrica.com, and they have a lot of great graphics and fonts and illustrations and craft ideas. It's a great resource. I can leave a link to that in the description. So you can see I'm having a little bit of a time trying to get it to adhere. And then once I got it done, I made sure it was all pressed down well, and I put another coat of Mod Podge on. And I added some lace for the hanger, and this is how it turned out. Next will be these candles. So I'm taking some of the tall candles. I know you can get them at Dollar Tree. I actually got these at Target, and they were also only $1 there. And I am putting some music that I have torn out of old hymnals to put around the candle. Now, if you don't have any sheet music or hymnal music, you can always do a search online. There's a lot of free music and free vintage style music even, and you can print some off and use that. So I'm just taking some Mod Podge and putting it on the back side of the music that I'm using. Now, the reason I use a phone book is because I like to use it as a gluing surface, because then I can just rip the page off and throw it away when I'm done. So a lot of times you might see me putting it down when I'm painting something small or gluing something smaller. It's really handy because people don't really use phone books much anymore, and I've got several stashed away and they work perfectly. So now I'm just doing a coat of Mod Podge for the next piece. And I'm going to do 2 candles here. And of course you can have the sheet music cover as much of the candle as you want. I left some show at the bottom and the top. And then I'm going through now and just putting a layer of Mod Podge on the outside of the music. And I'm going to finish it up with a ribbon, some jingle bells, and a jute bow on each of them. And I lost some footage there, so I apologize, but this is how they came out. Perfect for a shabby chic Christmas. Our next craft is going to be upcycling this church that I got from Dollar General. It was $4, and it just needed a little extra something, and I didn't want to do too much to it. I still want to keep it simple, but I decided to go over the gray with black. So here I'm just doing all of the trim that they had painted gray in black instead. It was very easy to go over. And I'm not sure, but I think they may have had at one time another little piece up on the cross, because it looked like there was some glue marks, like something had been there. But there's obviously nothing else on top of the cross now. So I don't know if something had fallen off or if this is how they are. But this is how mine is anyway. And there's a little nail that they put in for the door handle. So I'm just leaving this round and going around the rest in the black. I just thought it was such a cute little church, and it goes well with some of my shabby chic things that I have, and so I wanted to bring in a little more color to a few things. So I'm going to add a little gold and silver in with my shabby chic this year. So I'm taking this gold paint and I'm just kind of dry brushing it on. I am going to end up painting the whole thing, but it's going to be very dry. It's not going to be saturated. Now, after I got that done, I did go in and put a little gold on the doorknob also. And then I have this little set of jingle bells made into a little wreath. I bought it this way. I'm not sure. I believe it was an ornament from Dollar Tree sometime in the last couple of years. So I just glued that on with some hot glue. And that's going to be all I did to this piece. I just decided to leave it simple and let the piece do the talking for itself. The first one is going to be a mixed media piece with a Christmas trees as the theme. And I'm taking this, it's just kind of like a plaque, but it was the back of some kind of a picture or something we had once. It's like a wooden tile kind of basically. So I'm just going to repurpose it. You could use a canvas or any other kind of piece of wood. I'm taking the Mod Podge and putting a layer on top, and then I'm covering it with this black scrapbook paper. I took these little Christmas trees. I'm going to use 3 of them for this, and I'm kind of repurposing them. They're meant to be ornaments. I got them in an ornament pack off of Amazon, and it came with reindeer and bells and little ornament shapes. And so I'm taking 3 of these and I'm gluing them down with some Mod Podge onto scrapbook papers that I want to have their patterns be. So after I get them glued, I take my X-Acto knife, and it's just a small crafting one that I use, and I'm just going to carefully go around each edge, and that will give nice clean edges to the trees. I am using a self-healing mat to cut on so that the cuts won't hurt anything. So just make sure you remember that when you do cut with a craft knife so that you don't ruin your desk, because I have had that happen before. So I'm getting those done. Now I'm just going to take the wood piece with the scrapbook paper, and I'm just going to take my sanding block and do the edges so that it gives it a little bit of a worn look and just makes the edges a little bit cleaner. Next, I'm going to take some ink. I'm using Tim Holtz's Distressed ink in frayed burlap is the color. And I just put some on my paintbrush here. It's a stiff brush, and I'm just going around the edges to kind of make it look a little bit worn and just not so bright and stark in color. I don't know if you can tell very well in the picture, but the 2 of the trees on the outside edge are going to be this metallic gold and white papers. And then the one in the middle is white with black polka dots. And I thought they'd look so pretty against that black paper that I put down as the background. Next, I'm going to kind of play around with where I want the trees to go, because I did cut out the words "Oh Christmas Tree" on my Cricut. And you can use stickers or stencils, or you can leave off the words if you want. But I decided to put mine on with the Cricut transfer, so I'm using transfer tape right now and peeling that off. And then I'll get my trees in place and start gluing them. I am just using my hot glue and it will hold it down fine because it's got the paper to adhere to. I did not do a coat of Mod Podge on it yet as a sealer because otherwise these trees would not have stuck very well. The Mod Podge makes it a slick surface, and then the glue doesn't work as well. So I'm just leaving it as is for now. And then I found this bag of little stars, little gold stars. I believe I got these at Michael's, and there were a whole bunch of them in a little bag. And they're very handy for a lot of different crafts. So I'm just using the hot glue and gluing them on as well. And you can't really tell from this, but the trees, since they're wooden, they're raised up a little bit. It kind of gives a little bit of a 3D appearance, and it looks really neat. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I'm going to start with 4 medium-sized popsicle sticks and 2 of the wood squares to my left that you can see sitting there. I'm going to start with just painting these popsicle sticks black, and I am going to be cutting the ends off so they don't have to be painted all the way to the end. Just giving them a quick coat for now. And after I get these painted, I'm going to set them aside to dry. And I like to use these old telephone book pages to paint on because they're really handy to just rip out and then throw away when I'm done. So there's a little tip if you're interested in that. Now I'm taking some vintage music that I have. It's hymnal music, so I can use different songs depending on the time of year and the holiday. But you can also get vintage looking free printables off the internet if you don't want to use real music. Now these, I had a whole box of them that were given to me, and they are just going to disintegrate if I don't start using them. These are very old, probably from the 30s. So these I figure are getting a new life. But if you don't feel right cutting out music or you don't have any, then for sure just print some off of the internet. So now after I've got those cut out, I'm going to put a very thin layer of Mod Podge. It won't take much if your music is thin. You know, it probably won't be any thicker than a regular piece of paper, so you don't need a whole lot of glue. And then I'm going to carefully put each piece of music on, just smoothing it gently and using the palm of my hand and my fingertips. And now I'm going to go back to these, and I'm going to measure them up next to the squares. I'm going to make sure there's a little overhang on each end, but I'll cut the ends off, and then I'll make sure that all 4 are the same. And these popsicle sticks usually cut fine with a sharp pair of scissors. You want to make sure you don't use your good scissors because it's going to wear them down very quickly. So here I'm just trimming up the edges. Now I'm going to go back to the paint or the popsicle sticks, and I'm going to paint them with a little more black. I want to make sure I do anywhere that looks like it needs a second coat, and the edges and each end. It doesn't take much, just kind of going over them a little bit. I am going to distress those later on. So for now, we'll just leave those like this. So now I'm going to get back to the squares. I'm going to take my Cricut tool here. It's a little utility knife, and I'm going to go around each square and get off any overflowing paper. And then I went and printed out some words on my Cricut. I did the word peace and also the word Noel. If you don't have a Cricut, you can use some stickers, or you can hand write with a black Sharpie or a marker. Either one will work. I just have terrible handwriting. So here I'm just putting the transfer tape on so that the words can be transferred easily to the squares. And I'm taking some hot glue and some very thin, this is metallic ribbon, so it's kind of shimmery, and I'm just putting it down the center of each popsicle stick. And this is optional, or you can decorate it with some rickrack, or you can leave it plain if you want also, but all different kinds of ribbon options. And now I'm just cutting off the extra ribbon. It really helps to glue it if you cut it a little longer, because then you can hold on to the edges while you're letting it set up in the glue, because you can pull it tight. So after I get those all trimmed, I'm going to use some hot glue and glue the edges on the signs, and I'm going to put them flush with the outside edge so they're all lined up. And then when you get done with that, you're going to want to make sure that you put each square going right side up so that the music is going in the right direction. You can see here I ended up having to flip it over because I got thinking about it and I was like, oops, yep, that one's upside down. So now I'm just placing my letters on, and I did on purpose not let my Mod Podge set all the way before I put the words on, because I wanted these to be shabby looking, and this way it pulled up some of the music, but it still left enough that you can tell that it's music. And it just gives it a more shabby chic feel. Now, after I get those on, I'm going to take a sanding block and just sand the edges of the popsicle sticks. Just going to kind of make them look a little more worn. And then I'm also going to be taking just a paintbrush and some distress ink. I'm using Frayed Burlap by Tim Holtz. And I'm just going to go around the edges so that it looks a little more worn and used. And now we need something to hang these up with, so I'm going to put some more of that metallic ribbon on and just hot glue it on the back. And that's all there is to these. They'd also work on a door hanger, or a doorknob, I should say, as a door hanger, or on a huge Christmas tree. They'd work perfectly for ornaments. just cutting off the extra ribbon, and they're good to go. Let me know what you think of the crafts today. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'm doing my Christmas series, so let me know what you think of that. I believe this is my third video in the series. I will link the playlist for my Christmas series in the description box below. The next thing we're going to make is a Merry and Bright sign. We're going to start with a wood round, and these are just shy of 12 inches across. Very lightweight. I got these on Amazon. You can get them in many different sizes. And I'm just using some brown paint mixed with some water, so it makes somewhat of a stain look instead of painted. And after I got one side painted and dried, I just flipped it over so that both sides would be painted. And I'm just doing the same mixture here. It's really a lot less messy than stain, and I like it because you don't have the smell. So it gives that look, and all I have for stain right now is some dark stain, and I wanted this to be a little bit lighter. After I got both sides dry, I did go ahead and take some washi tape. And I'm going to start taping off where I want the white color to be that I'm going to paint. So I'm going to go a little more than halfway up. So I'm going to put the Merry and Bright kind of halfway on the wood, and then the rest of the way on the white. Now the washi tape that I had didn't stick the greatest, but it did come out with a clean edge. So as long as you get some tape, it can be painter's tape, works better. I had washi tape on hand, so as long as you get a good seal on that tape and then paint, you should get a clean line when you pull the tape up. So now I actually end up putting 2 coats of white paint on this bottom. I decided I wanted this one to be more of a neutral sign. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to give this one as a gift or keep it for myself. I've kind of got 2 themes going on at my house right now. I've kind of a red and green traditional Christmas, and then a silver, black, and white Christmas going on. So then I took Merry and Bright on my HTV vinyl, which is heat transfer vinyl on the Cricut. And I'm using my Cricut Easy Press again and ironing that on. And then after I get Merry and Bright ironed on, I'm going to make an easy bow. I'm just going to take this awesome ribbon that I got. I believe I got this at Joann's, and it's wool feeling, and it's just such a neat texture. So I'm folding it upon itself 6 times, and then I'm going to cut in the middle, halfway up, or halfway in on each side. I'm going to put some little slices in the ribbon so that I can tie it together and then start fluffing out my bow. And I'm not the greatest bow maker, but you just keep working with it and playing with it, and you can always, once you get it glued down, move it around and kind of glue down where you want things, and it helps a little bit. So I decided I'm going to put my bow up here on the top. I'm going to put it right in the center. And I'm just using hot glue to get that in place. And you can see I'm kind of gluing some of the edges and the poofs in place where I want them to be. And then I do decide to put something in the middle of this bow, and I'm going to just do a silver jingle bell. And that's all I did for this project. You just have 2 easy signs today. Our first craft that we're going to do is going to be a sign that's going to be a little bit glamorous and shabby chic. I'm going to start with this sign from Dollar Tree. Obviously it was from Halloween and there was some glitter on it, but I'm going to just start with a throwaway brush so that the glitter, if it gets on the brush, it won't be that big of a deal to get rid of. And I'm just going to put a coat of Mod Podge over the whole thing. Then I'm going to take a piece of scrapbook paper and place it on top, covering as much as I can of the sign, and get that stuck on there nice and tight. I'm going to flip it over and take off this twine. And then I'm going to take my Cricut utility knife, or any sharp utility knife will work. And I'm just going to go around the edges to give it a nice clean cut. And this really is an easy way when you've got an irregular shaped piece that you're working with. And then I'm going to take a little bit that's left of scrap, and I'm going to make the cover for this top piece as well. I'm just going to use the same principle. And this top piece is going to be covered, so I didn't go ahead and line up the pattern or anything like that. I'll get this cut off here. And then we can go ahead and start. I'm going to be doing an assemblage. And an assemblage is just basically 3D art. So I'm going to be using this reindeer that's silver glitter, and it's from Dollar Tree. And then these 2 trees, they are also from Dollar Tree, and they were sold in one package. So far I've got $3 in the sign with everything shown there. And then I found these words last year. It was either at Dollar Tree or Michael's, but it was $1 for the whole package. And I found the one that says Happy Holidays, and it's in silver glitter also. So this is a very simple sign and an easy way to get some glam in your house for the holidays. And if you didn't want to make it glam, of course you could put red and green paper behind it. You could put black behind it, whatever colors work best with your Christmas decor. I'm just going to be hot gluing all of the 3D pieces on. And I've had some people ask what mixed media is. Mixed media is when you have a piece of artwork and it uses several different mediums, such as ink, paint, pencil, any of those. And it's also using different items, such as you might mix wood and paper and things like that. So this is considered a mixed media piece because we're using lots of different mediums. But it's also considered an assemblage because an assemblage is when the items are 3D and stick out from the art. So this piece is going to be a mixed media assemblage, and it's my favorite kind of art to make. It's just very forgiving. It's your own style. You can use little bits here and there of whatever you've got on hand. It doesn't take any special equipment or supplies. It's just whatever you want to do with it. I did go ahead and glue down the Happy Holidays, and I also had some little rhinestones and patterns that I added between the words just to give it a little extra up above there. And then I took my Mod Podge and put a layer on the bottom there, and I added some of the fake snow from Dollar Tree just to give it a little bit more down below there for your eye to look at and kind of bring the piece together. Then I'm taking this roll of ribbon that I got at Dollar Tree that's got these sparkles in it, and I'm going to add it up at the top. Just gonna hot glue it down. You can see there where it covered the piece that we had to patch up there. And then this little, I got a bag of little teeny balls. There was white and silver ones, different sizes in a bag at Dollar Tree. And that's what I've got there in the middle of the bow. And I know the video doesn't do it justice with the glitter and the sparkle, but it's just so beautiful in person. The second craft that we're going to do today is going to be another kind of assemblage, a mixed media piece. And I'm going to start with this shadow box from Dollar Tree. I removed the floral and I'm going to use that for something else. And then I measured, and it's just a little bit over 6 inches each way. So I'm going to use some scrapbook paper. Here I'm just positioning it where I want it on the paper, and then I'm going to use my paper trimmer. I apologize for my voice today. I'm still sick, but I wanted to get these couple videos out for you guys today, and hopefully I don't lose my voice completely in the next couple of days. So once I get that to fit in the box, I'm just going to kind of see here how it's going to look with the little Christmas trees that I'm going to use. Just wanted to see where they fall on the paper. I had lots of glitter to vacuum up there. These little desktop vacuums are so handy. Now I'm going to put a little super glue down in the box and put the paper in place. And then I cut out this Christmas tree farm sign. I got this wording and graphic from Cricut Design Space, and it is 99 cents unless you have Cricut Design Space access, which is $9.99 a month. Right now, I've just been buying them for 99 cents as I need them. If you don't have a Cricut, you can hand letter or use stickers. However you want to get the graphic on the page. It doesn't have to be as big of a graphic or as many words as what I've got, of course. But that's what I went with. And then I'm going to take these gold glittery bottle brush trees. And I just love the gold on them. It's so beautiful. And I'm just going to start gluing the bottoms in place. I'm going to kind of alternate positions and also the height of the trees. I'll get these all in place. So this craft is very simple. The hardest part is, of course, if you want to put a graphic on it, getting that and finding one that will work. Otherwise, I just did the trees. I stuck the star up in the corner, and I just think it turned out so pretty. I wanted to show you my glam Christmas decor from last year in 2020. I did some paper, between a light cardboard and paper houses. I just kept them very simple. I did take a silver or gold paint pen around the windows and doors and roof lines just to give it a little more of a, a little more glamorous feel. I put down some lace for the snow. I put in some cardboard reindeer and trees, and I also used some bottle brush trees. I am going to be putting this up again this year. I just love how it looks at night. I also made a glamorous wreath to put in my dining room. I ended up just taking a white grapevine wreath that was already painted white. I put a couple bows up at the top, and I also just took some silver and gold sprigs of floral that I got from Dollar Tree. Very simple and very elegant. My dining room table was also silver and gold. I had a few little light up ornaments on there that are silver. They look blue in the picture. And again, this was all from Dollar Tree, other than a couple of the metal trays and then the doilies. Kind of gave it a shabby chic feel too. I hope you guys enjoyed my little home tour from last year. I'm hoping to give you some inspiration. I know it's early, but I know there's a lot of people starting to think about their decorations this year, gifts they might want to make. If there's anything special you'd like to see, leave me a comment in the description box and I can see what I can do. Until next time, have a great day, have a fun time crafting, and I'll see you next time. Bye.